Today, we're diving into this incredible ancient text that honestly feels like a brand new user manual for the human mind. It's called the Mahāsaḷāyatanikasutta, or the Discourse on the Six Great Sense Fields. And what's so amazing about it is that it lays out this super clear map of how our experience is built, moment by moment, and crucially, how we can actually change it. So let's get right to the heart of what this text is all about. It asks a pretty profound question. How can something so simple, so automatic, like just seeing something or hearing a noise or even just having a thought pop into your head, how can that become the root of our deepest suffering? I mean, it seems crazy, right? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, is all about a chain reaction that gets kicked off the very second our senses interact with the world. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to rethink how we see our senses. They're not just passive windows, just letting information in. This text describes them as an active, powerful engine. It's always on, always processing, and it's literally building the reality you experience every single second. So this engine has a few key parts. First up, the obvious ones. You've got the eye, our way of taking in all the light, color, and shapes around us. Then, of course, the ear, turning vibrations into the entire world of sound.
The nose, which connects us to all those powerful smells.
You've got the tongue for the endless variety of tastes. And finally, the body itself, the sense for touch, pressure, hot, cold, you name it. So those five, they're basically the foundation of how we experience the physical world. But here's where things get really interesting. The sutta adds a sixth sense. And that sixth sense is the mind itself. Think about it. Its objects aren't sights and sounds. They're thoughts, memories, ideas, emotions. The mind perceives concepts in the exact same way the eye perceives light. This right here is a total game changer for understanding the whole system. All right, so you've got this six-part perception engine running 24/7. And the text says that from this engine, there are two totally different paths you can go down. The wild part is the exact same sensory experience, seeing the same person, hearing the same piece of news, thinking the exact same thought, can lead to two completely different outcomes. And it all comes down to one single thing, whether or not we see things as they truly are. So first, let's look at the path that, well, is kind of our default setting. It's the one most of us are on most of the time without even realizing it. This is what happens when our perception is a little clouded, when we aren't seeing things with crystal clarity. The text has a great name for it, the path of entanglement. And it's a chain reaction, really. It kicks off because we're not seeing things clearly, not seeing them as they really are. And because of that initial blurriness, we get entangled. We get hooked by whether we like the experience or not. And once we're hooked, that just feeds craving, making it bigger and bigger. That, in turn, sparks all this inner distress and torment. It's like a mental fever. And the end of the line, real, actual suffering, both in our bodies and in our minds. But here's the really crucial part. The consequence is way bigger than just having a bad moment. This whole process actually strengthens the very parts of our identity that are built for suffering. The text calls them the 5 clinging aggregates. You can think of them as the basic building blocks of our sense of me, our body, our feelings, perceptions, our mental patterns, and our consciousness. And on this path, they just get heavier, more solid. So in short, our habit of suffering actually gets stronger. But, and this is a big but, there is another way. The sutta doesn't just point out the problem, it hands us the solution. So let's check out the other option, the path to freedom. You'll see how it creates a completely different world from the exact same starting point. I mean, just look at this. This sequence completely flips the script. It all starts with seeing clearly, with really knowing and seeing things just as they are. And when you have that kind of clarity, you just don't get entangled. The hook, whether it's pleasure or pain, just doesn't sink in. And with no entanglement, craving has nothing to feed on, so it's abandoned. When craving vanishes, so does all that inner turmoil. And the final result? Not just the absence of suffering, but a deep, genuine sense of well-being in both body and mind. And again, the deeper consequence here is just as powerful, but in the opposite direction. Instead of building up a heavy, troubled sense of self, this path starts to deconstruct it. Those same 5 clinging aggregates, the building blocks of me, they actually start to diminish. The whole machinery that creates suffering begins to unwind, leading to this lighter, more flexible, and totally free way of being in the world. All right, this all sounds fantastic, right? But the big question is, how do we actually do it? How do we learn to see clearly? Well, the good news is the text doesn't just leave us there. It gives us the tools for the job, two essential mental qualities that we need to develop. The first tool is something called samatho, which we can translate as tranquility. This is all about developing a mind that's calm, stable, and collected. It's about getting to a point where your mind isn't just jerked around by every little sight, sound, or thought that comes along. The classic analogy is perfect here. It's like letting the muddy water in a lake settle until it's perfectly still and clear so you can finally see all the way to the bottom. And the second tool, which goes hand in hand with that tranquility, is vipassana, or insight. Now this is the clear seeing we've been talking about this whole time. And it's so important to get this. It's not about having a clever thought or an intellectual idea. It's a direct, first-hand perception of how things really are. This is the tool that just cuts right through all the confusion and lets us see things yathabhutam, as they truly are.
So, the sutta basically wraps all of this up into a super clear 4-part job description for us. Task 1, to fully understand our own experience, those 5 clinging aggregates. Task 2, to let go of, to abandon, the real roots of the problem, ignorance and craving. Task 3, to actively develop the tools we just talked about, tranquility and insight. And finally, Task 4, through all of this, we get to realize the ultimate goal, true knowledge and total liberation.
And that brings everything right back to you, here, now. This ancient text, it isn't just some dusty old philosophy, right? It's a live mirror for your own mind. As you're sitting here, listening to my voice, as thoughts are popping up in your head, that perception engine is running. It's working right now. So the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. In this very moment, which path is your perception building? The one that leads to entanglement or the one that leads to freedom?